Hi everyone, welcome to our special episode of Tauke Talks. I'm Cindy and I'll be your host today. Welcome to Tauke Talks, a series of sharing session where small but mighty business owners come and actually share their experience and the motivation behind starting their own business. This sharing session is brought to you by RYSE, a Malaysian research and social outreach project that empowers Malaysian youth through entrepreneurship, and RYSE is supported by Citi Foundation. We believe that entrepreneurship is not only for the big startup with high technology, but also for small and mighty business. Rise aim to showcase these stories to show that the small businesses that are persevering and still chasing their dreams despite the circumstances. So I'm happy to welcome our guest for today, and with that, we can start our Talkie Talk session. So welcome, Gwen. Can you share a little bit about your business, what Ellegra is all about, and how can they find out more about you? What do you offer?
Sure. Ellegra is an online personal styling service for women. The way it works is super simple. You go to our website, ellegra.com.my, where we get you started with a fun, short style quiz, and that allows us to get to know you, your style preferences, what your size is, your budget is. Once we've got all this, we can assign you to a personal stylist from our team who will handpick 5 items just for you based on what you told her in this style quiz. And then we ship it to your house. So this style box will go to your house, you will receive it, you'll be able to try on everything from the comfort of your own home, but more importantly, with your wardrobe next to it, so you understand whether what the stylist has picked for you is actually going to work with what you already own, because she will give you nice style tips inside the box in the form of a letter. And once you've done all this, you try it on and you know what you want to keep and what you want to return. All you have to do is check out online, tell your stylist what you liked, what you didn't like, if you can return anything that you don't like, and if you decide to keep everything, you will get a 20% discount. So that's pretty much the service. We are available on ellegra.com.my, and on Instagram you can find us and follow us on ellegra.my as well.
Thank you so much, Gwen, for sharing about that. So if you guys are struggling, finding your own personal style, need a little bit pick me up in terms of your closet, your wardrobe and your closet, please do find out more about Ellegra and the current offers and also what kind of service they provide. All right, now we know a little bit about Ellegra. Let's focus more on you, Gwen. Can you tell us a bit about your background and what actually inspired you to start your own business?
So, first, what inspired me was the fact that I really hate shopping, which is very ironic given what I'm doing. But it is the backdrop of Ellegra, sincerely. So when I was younger, mostly in London and in Berlin before that, I've always wanted to look good and have good presentation, because I've always been ambitious, wanted to, do well at work. And I know a good presentation is very important. And I wanted to not necessarily look trendy, but really well put together. But I hated the process of it, going to the shop. So in the 2005-6, you started seeing online clothes, so you could basically shop from your house and then they would deliver. But when that came, I was so excited, but then I was immediately hit by what they call paralysis of choice. This marketing concept where you should never show too many options to a customer, because if you do, the customer is going to get confused, doesn't know what to buy, and will go. That was me. And when you're young, you've got a lot of time to spend on shopping and getting it right. But as you grow older, especially as a woman, when you go in, you have a job, you have your children, you have your family obligation, it becomes really, really, really difficult to spend time, especially for me, doing something that I don't like in the first place. And so when I had my baby girl in 2019, unfortunately for me, I could not lose the weight. Like the first child I had, I was able to go back into my pants very quickly after 6-8 months. But the baby girl was another story. It took me a long time to go back to my normal body. And therefore, after 7 months, I gave up and I was like, okay, I need to buy new clothes. I cannot continue wearing maternity clothes. So I had to go shopping again online. And I was like, God, this is 2021 and I still have to go shopping even though I don't like it. So this frustration of mine on a personal level was kind of met by my background in the professional field. So my background is I used to work, I've always worked in the entertainment industry. I love art. And because I'm not a great artist, I think I write well, but I'm not a musician, I'm not an actor. I thought, okay, I love business. So how about I help artists make money and be on the business side. And so that's what I've always done. And so in London, I was working for Sony Music, and after that, iFlix. And those two experiences really got me into big data and how you can use, technology and data to optimize businesses. So that's what I was doing at iFlix. I was driving the content analytics team, looking at like what show people watch, what we should what content we should drop because it doesn't work. And so that's basically how the aha moment came like, this is 2021. I was able at iFlix to use data in a creative industry to kind of like make things better. In the case of iFlix, it was to spend our money better. In the case of fashion and clothes, it's basically to make sure that, the right body meets the right clothes combined to other sets of criteria. What style you like? Are you more a minimalist or are you more I don't know, alternative? But also meet sizes, but also meet like the right budget. And I was like, sure, in 2021, you can do better than this, than having to do it yourself if you don't want to. And that's kind of what happened, like in end of 2019, early 2020, I started looking into like, how about trying to make personal styling more affordable and building a business that's scalable, even though it's turning something that doesn't look too scalable in the first place.
All right. Thank you for sharing about that. It's very interesting how you actually spark this business based on something that you needed and you felt like women actually needed in Malaysia. So now we know about why you started Ellegra. Could you share a little bit about why did you actually prefer to start your business in Malaysia? Was it because you are based here, or maybe the economic in Malaysia needed this, the people in Malaysia needed this kind of service?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had been in KL for 4 years already. I'm here for personal reason. My husband is Malaysian, and we love it here, first of all. But so obviously, it was out of convenience, and because we started the business during the MCO, even if I wanted to do it elsewhere, it would have been very complicated.
Right.
So not really an option. But I was lucky that I was in Malaysia, in fact, because I think Malaysia is a fantastic place to start a business. The government is extremely supportive of startups. I mean, I come from France, and or even like in England, I'm sure the government is supportive of startups. But I think Malaysia is beyond all this. They're doing a really amazing job trying to make sure the young people or the less young can get access to grants, can get access to accelerator programs. They're really trying hard, and it's working because you guys have had a couple of really huge successes, including obviously Grab, but also Collectco. So first of all, the government support for startups is unbelievable, and I would not want it to be elsewhere from that perspective. The infrastructure in Malaysia are great as well in terms of technology and digital transformation. I'm always amazed, like compared to France, incredible. and and then the other thing I would say is the talents, like the people who you find here, particularly from a language perspective, like everybody speaks English. If I was in Bangkok, it would be much more harder for me to run a business because I speak Thai. So I think Malaysia has like incredible assets for startups. And if you need anyone to come here to work, it's also easy from a visa. So I would not want to be anywhere else.
All right, great. Thank you for sharing about that. So, if you guys are thinking of opening a business in Malaysia, there is hope and there is a lot of perks and asset, as Gwen mentioned. Right. So now I want to learn a bit more about the challenges you faced when you first started your business. As with any business, there's always going to be obstacles and there's always going to be challenges. So can you share a bit about the challenges you faced when you first started and how did you actually overcome them?
Mhm. Well, I mean, the first one for me was that it was twofold. So double whammy. I am not a stylist.
Mm.
I think I have good style, and I know my grandmother taught me everything I know. She was very stylish. She used to work for Pierre Cardin in France, but that was very, casual learning and semi-interest. So I'm not a stylist, and I'm not Malaysian. So
Mm.
that was those were the two big challenges. And what do you do in that case? You turn to the expert and you delegate. And
Mm.
so the first challenge was, okay, how am I going to go about finding people with the skill who not only know about styling people, but also know about styling people in Malaysia particularly. And I solved it by, um, asking my network, do you know anyone? And starting like, talking to one person, two-person, etc. And then one thing that was working much faster was to actually set a partnership with fashion schools. So I reach out to people from Raffle, because again, Malaysia is amazing from a fashion industry perspective. The clothing industry has been very, very strong. I think it's struggling now, but there's a lot of background and infrastructure for fashion. So there's a lot of people who study fashion. There's like 4 schools. So again, I was very blessed to be able to do the partnerships with Raffle and then Inti, and then we're hoping to go and do more partnerships going forward as well. So that was the number one challenge. The number two was basically solving what I set to do in the first place, which is
Mm.
make personal styling affordable. How do you do this? And
Mm.
so that was all about finding out the best and most efficient way and fastest as well to identify, okay, what is the process of styling and how can we speed it up? And we still do this. It's a question of, a constant conversation with, okay, what do you need when you're styling? You need photos of the garment. You need to be able to upload that item and that item in the system. You might want to have access to the bestsellers
Mm.
for a particularly type of customer. How do we make learning easier to access for new stylists that are training?
Mm.
Um, Now that we have a lot of data about clothes, we built an algorithm that we can basically test whether that piece of clothes is actually going to work for a customer A, B, or C. And the
Mm.
computer is calculating this based on what we've seen before. So we're able to leverage our historical data. But all of this was a big chunk, and still is, of things to do, things to solve in order to achieve our mission, which is everyone should be able to have access to a personal stylist, whether that's to save money, whether that's to feel more confident, or whether that's to solve for the lack of time that many women don't have anymore because they've got
Mm.
everything. So
Right.
that would be the that would be.
Hmm. So you mentioned a bit about, making it a bit affordable. And I believe in your introduction, you talk about how a lot of people believe that styling is for, rich and celebrity. So did you
Yeah.
actually face any prejudice against your business when you first started regarding this issue of like how people's misconception or stereotypes against fashion stylists or styling for people who are like not rich or not famous?
Oh, interesting. Uh, Not really. I understood the question a bit differently initially, but no, not really. People did not. I think people were generally welcome the idea to
Mm,
be taken care of most
right.
most of it. But the prejudice would be more about, is this true? Like, is this
Oh,
really true that
okay.
I can get a personal stylist? And what I was going to say about the prejudice, it would be what's really difficult for us is because we are a very new service, more
Mm,
from both from a brand perspective, but also customer proposition perspective.
Right.
So the brand is building up. A lot of people have seen us on Facebook, but we still have so much work to do to be more recognized. And then the customer proposition, when you think about it, is very customer friendly. You don't pay for shipping, you don't pay for return. You get to try your clothes at home, and you try them before you buy. So you don't need to, when you order a style box, you pay a style fee, which is basically how we cover our stylist cost. But you don't pay for any of the 5 items until you try them on and you said, you know what, I want 5. Or you know what, I just want 2 because I've already had 3 boxes and I'm okay to just pick 2. Or you know what, only 2 work this time. I don't like this one. And it's completely fine. But then you just return it. We will deduct the style fee from whatever you're taking. So you don't lose that money. It's not extra fee. It's just deducted against what you buy. And if you buy all 5, you get 20% discount. And so this is a really like complex product that we need to explain first, like you said, personal styling, yeah, you can get it. And then we need to explain all this. That has been the prejudice because people frown. They're like, oh, but what about this? And how does it work? And what about the style field? So that's what with marketing, building up the YouTube channel, we try to overcome all these challenges so that people are not confused and just realize, wow, this is good. I should try it.
So the prejudice was about building awareness about how your brand works. Okay, interesting. All right. So now we've learned a bit because you talk about how your business started during the MCO and how the pandemic is still quite prevalent and is still ongoing. What would you say are the challenges you face during the pandemic or is facing right now, and how do you plan to adapt or actually grow your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely created a bunch of challenges, but I would say the number one was definitely hiring. We knew at this, and now we know what we need, but particularly between September and December and January, because we had a big rush in Jan. We knew what we were looking for, like what type of stuff we were looking for, but having people come to the office was a challenge because of the pandemic, and unfortunately, I had to have people in the office. So I decided to have only basically people going to the office was on need basis. No marketing people, no stylists, like no one who didn't need to be there was not there, so that we had more space for everyone to work within 1 meter of each other, and it was very, very safe for everyone to work. And we also try and figure out a way to have people come to the office by car if they could, instead of taking the transport, to just limit the exposure, of everyone to the virus. But then, because we were hiring, it was not always easy to find those people who could drive themselves to the office and sort of make sure that we were all going to be safe. And thank God, so far we've had, like, everyone is healthy, and we've been able to go through this period with no one falling sick. But it was very and very difficult at times, because it's just like when you have a rush and you need more people and you can't find them immediately, it's not always easy. The second challenge was to have because customers now, especially during the MCO, but even now, some people don't want to go out too much, right? So before the pandemic, you could so many reasons to go out of your house, right? You go to work, you go to see your friend, blah blah blah. So dropping a style box when you have a million reasons to go out, very easy. When you're only going out to do your groceries, it's a challenge. So we've had to be proactive on the customer service side and say, hey, don't forget your style box, please return it next time you go and do your groceries, because that was the only justified reason to go out. And basically send a bunch of friendly messages to make sure that we could get the style boxes back in time so we can return it to the suppliers. That was another challenge that we had to face and find solutions for that were still customer friendly.
Did you actually received any struggle in terms of getting the products, like the clothes that you wanted from the suppliers? No problem at all.
No, actually, no. This was, yeah, now you make me think. I'm like, yeah, actually, that was good. That worked well. Because, all the delivery services have done an amazing job during the pandemic.
Mm,
Their service running, and, they just really made things work. So, no, we did not have issues related to this.
mm,
And in fact, it created like an opportunity for Ellegra to help our brand partners during this difficult situation. So some
mm,
of the stores were closed. And we've had a number of conversations with our partners to say, you know what, if your store is closed and you're a bit stuck with your inventory, we can help. Like leave it in our office, then you don't have to constantly deliver only a few pieces, just deliver everything. And during this MCO period, we will try and our best to sell your stuff. And so because there was no opportunity cost for them anymore, we were able to jump in and sort of help them sell.
mm. It's great to hear that you actually also, Allegra also helps solve a problem in helping support other fashion brands in Malaysia to keep afloat. Just great to hear supporting other business. Hey.
We try to do this because
Mm,
we work with smaller brands, not the big international brands, because I mean everyone suffered, but obviously the smaller fashion designer and
mm,
creators are the hardest hit. And so, we're still very small
mm,
and humble and nimble. So we did what we could with our volume, but we were able to help, Sunaru and Osebena and
mm.
all these local fashion brands that exist, thanks to the amazing fashion industry in Malaysia. And so yeah, we try to do our part.
Right, thank you for sharing about that. Now we've learned about your business in general, about how it has struggled but also overcome the struggle. We would like to hear more about you, Gwen. What would you say is your biggest fear of being an entrepreneur, and how did you actually overcome or is trying to overcome that fear of yours?
So a lot of fears, obviously, and a lot of excitement. So it's like a roller coaster. So you'd better have a good heart. But the fear number one that really stays all the time with me is prioritization.
Mm,
So I've worked for a company, like bigger companies in the past, but I've worked a lot for startups, and I already knew it. But I think there's a difference between working for a startup and running a startup. When you work for a startup, you understand from your manager or the founder, whatever, that time is of the essence and we have to move quick. And you do what you can, right? But when you're running the business, it becomes a million times amplified because every morning when I come to the office and I come early exactly
mm,
for that reason, um, I look at my list of things to do, and more than ever, I ask myself, what is a life or death thing to do today?
mm,
And it's not just urgent, it has to be, what is important? What is going to make a difference to Ellegra, like a real difference to it. And every day I'm learning to get better at prioritizing and be very, how do you say, very ruthless about, you know what, I know this needs to be done, but we're not going to do it
mm,
because it's going to make a difference. But compared to this other task,
mm,
we should do this and then we'll worry about this because this could move us from here to there.
mm,
And every morning I have to ask myself, am I spending my time on the right thing? Am I spending my resources on the right thing? And it's a fear because I may make a mistake when I make that decision. But I think the great thing is just to be aware of it
mm,
and at least trying to do the right thing rather than get, how they say, distracted, like,
mm.
oh, I should do this, or this email comes in and I've got this person asking me this on WhatsApp. It's so easy these days to get distracted. So it's very important to stay focused.
So prioritizing is a problem for everyone, but also for an entrepreneur because you have a lot to handle, a lot of different avenues you have to handle in your business. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Now we'll move on to a more positive note. I want to know about what would you say is the most satisfying part of owning your own business, being your own boss? What's so thrilling about it?
Mm, So I would say, I mean, to be able to do what we really, really care about.
Mm.
And so with Ellegra, I think the most satisfying part of, this business is just the customer feedback. So we get obviously customer reviews, but sometimes we get letters from our customers. It's
Wow,
so
that's
sweet. Yeah, I should have had them here to show you, but I get emotional every time. So, but it's so sweet when we get WhatsApp messages from someone. We've helped someone find a wedding anniversary outfit, and she was so happy. She had been, looking everywhere in the shop, and because people don't understand and know, like myself 2 years ago, how important it is to understand what body shape you are and what clothes will work for you depending on how your body looks like. Because the stylist job is to essentially how women have so many complex. A woman looking at herself in the mirror, she will only see what's wrong with her, right?
Right.
A stylist is the opposite. She will see a body and she will say, how can I basically enhance this? What will work best on this body? And the job is to enhance beauty. And when they do a great job, you can see this in the customer feedback where the person is like, I would never have tried this before. I would never have picked this on the shelf, but now I feel so good wearing this dress. Or thank you so much for helping me find this outfit for the wedding. Thank you so much for helping me find trousers I feel good in when I go to work. And for me, this is the most satisfying part of owning my own business, is to do something that really matter, and essentially get success through doing something that that's good to the end customer. That's what I would say.
That's so heartwarming to hear that this passion of you actually is the most satisfying part of being a business owner.
For sure.
Yep. And now we'll move on to the last and final question I have for you before we move on to the Q&A. But to all the young people listening to this Tauke Talk session, in your opinion, do you think young people should actually start their own business, and why?
Okay, so my short answer is yes and no.
Okay.
My long answer, I think starting a business when you're young is amazing. It's the best time. I wish I had done this. Starting a business at the age of 14 when you've got 2 kids is frankly insane. Um, you don't, like it's, I've got a lot on my plate, but I couldn't help it. When you're young, you've got time to think, you meet new people all the time, you're curious, your mind is ready to adapt. So I would say it's definitely the right time to do it, right? Because you've got so little to lose, right?
Yeah.
Technically, it depends on your situation, but you don't have a career to give up on. You don't have, if you're investing your own money, you will, you have to know what the risks are, but you don't have a mortgage, maybe you don't have more responsibilities. So that's why I really think that, when you're young, it's much easier and you've got the energy. But I would say, so yeah, it's the right time, but is it right time for everybody? I'm not sure, because you need to when you start your own business, you need to first, don't start a business for the sake of starting a business. Make sure that you have found something that ticks a few boxes. Number one, are you passionate about it? Number two, actually, number one, is there a market for it? The first thing I did when I ran the first Ellegra beta test was the reason why I ran them is because I don't want to do a business that's based on me. I'm the only one in the world who doesn't like shopping. And so I'm going to set a business for myself, no customer. So number one, make sure you have customers and market that waits for your product or your service. Number two, make sure you're passionate about it and you're really, really truthful to it. Because When it's going well, no problem. When it's not going well and you face challenges, you're just going to give up because you're emotionally not involved, and it's just simply not going to work for the majority of people. I know a few people can do it without being emotionally involved, but I think it's much harder. And number three, you need to have the drive, you need to have the energy, you need to know that you're going to make this your priority, which is why it's great to do it when you're young, because it's easier to make something like this your priority in that point of time. And you need to have a problem-solving mindset, because although you will have some highs, you will also have some problems to solve constantly, and you need to be nimble in solving them. And in a way, I think the most efficient way of performing way to do it is you will think about it all the time, every day. It's Saturday, it's Sunday, it doesn't matter. It's 3 a.m. at night. It doesn't matter. You will still think about it, and that's how you solve problems. So that's why my answer is yes and no. I think about it hard before you get into it. And then if you find a product that has a market and you're so excited about it, yeah, jump.
Thank you so much for sharing and also answering all the questions I have for you. Now let's move on to the Q&A session where we'll be answering the questions from the audience. So the first question up from the audience is, how did you know when you should scale your business? For example, the audience gave hiring more employees, getting an office. When did you actually know when is the right time to actually hire more people, getting an office, etc.?
Very, very good question. You should scale a business when you know you've got product market fit. And so we've been running, I think we knew, and we're still trying to, scale. But in December, we knew that the product market fit was there. It's already a proven business, by the way. So we are running something that we know works in the US and Europe already. And so the reason why I've done beta tests is that I didn't want to run the assumption that, it worked in the West, so it's going to work in Malaysia or in Asia in general. So when we did the beta test and when we run the business from July and September, we saw the response, we saw how we could improve. And in December was when we knew we had done a good enough job to sort of put like even more marketing than we were since September. But scaling there is scaling and scaling. And by this, I mean, there's been a lot of companies that have scaled super duper fast because there's a lot of talk about unicorns and, winner takes it all, etc. I still think I would want to scale, as fast as I can, but within reason, because as you basically grow, your customer base changes. And I know this very well because I worked in the music industry and I've seen a lot of, adoption to new technologies, like first of all the iPod and then streaming, and before that the Walkman. Like it can take more or less time. People need some time to figure out, right now I'm going to the mall to buy my clothes, tomorrow I'm just going to get someone to send it to me. And so you've got to be careful that as you essentially penetrate your target addressable market, you're still relevant for the new customer that you are serving. And so you should do it fast and slow, always constantly checking with the customer wherever that's working. So to answer the question, I would say, first, make sure you've got product market fit. There's lots of videos online about product market fit and how you check. But essentially, it means a lot of different enough customers are responsive to your product. And if it's a niche, it's fine, but then you have to have the business model that goes with it. For us, it's mainstream. So we need to make sure that we cover a wide range of demographics of women. And every day we ask ourselves that question: should we hire more? Should we move to Cheras? Should we, to have a big warehouse, etc., etc. We have to plan, but we have to constantly review as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for answering that question. The next question would be, was it hard for people to trust your brand and the stylists you had on your team? If yes, how did you change the public's mindset?
So the answer is no, but I believe that I don't think people didn't trust the stylist, but I think we could gain from giving them more exposure. So you will see more in that field on our Instagram page, because stylists are artists. I mean, they, they think about beautiful things all the time. And so you will see like more what we call mood board to sort of get stylist team, the designers that they love and their vision of, what looks good. So we're going to have more of this on the Instagram feed. I would love to do more in terms of, featuring their work. If they're working, some of them are working also as fashion stylists on shoots. So we've got someone who works for Chanel. We've got someone who works for a famous fashion publication. So there's a lot to gain, I think, from knowing the stylist in an artistic way, but also in a technical way. Because when you speak to them, I've personally learned a lot about their knowledge around how do you dress up someone of a certain body shape, but also the history of fashion for a certain movement, like how did minimalism come to be so popular, and the different waves of minimalism, etc. So this is something that we didn't think is necessarily challenging, I think, from customers. At least I haven't seen it. But this is something I think we can gain from sharing more.
Great. So awareness is the answer to that question. And next would be someone asked, "Hi Gwen, sometimes the style I like is not the one which looks good on me. What would you do if a customer is like that too? Does your algorithm solve that too?"
The style you like, I think it's possible to make any style work on any body shape. But it's just a question of the cut that you chose for the dress, if it's a dress. I think it's more down to this rather than a style. There may be colors that don't work on you, that I believe, although I'm not a stylist, as I said, but I don't think a style that doesn't work on you, I think that's completely solvable. So yes.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. The next question is, how did you approach your brand partners? Is it through your social network?
No, I've been reaching out via LinkedIn. The circles I have of people I met when I was working at iFlix, anyone really. I'm really good at asking favors from people. Can you help me get to this person? This is a really good skill to have if you start a business. You should not be shy about asking people for favors, because A, you don't have a choice, you have to do it. And B, you know what? People love helping. So you're almost doing them a favor.
Right. So don't be shy to ask questions. Just go for it.
Yeah. And it creates a connection. I mean, I love people. Like when I was in university, people used to call me connecting people, because that was the tagline for Nokia at the time. So it's quite a funny story about me. And I love, because those, I don't see them as favor. I see them as excuses to connect with other people. Like, hey, how you doing? We're all human. We all love connecting. And unfortunately, sometimes the shyness takes over. Just try and do it more. And the more you do it, you will not even ask yourself, should I do it? Like, you'll just do it. So don't be shy.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question is, someone is curious. She said, "I'm sure you must have encountered difficult customers sometimes. What's your most difficult experience, and how did you actually approach this difficult customer, if you have any?"
Difficult customer on physically, no. They don't come to the office. Online, I mean, I don't think we see a customer as necessarily being difficult. And for us, it's almost a challenge that we're willing to accept. So I don't know what this person means by difficult, but difficult could mean, she wants a refund or whatever. So that's kind of technical, and we just follow our customer service process, making sure that, wherever we can help, we will. Then there's difficult, maybe I would call it demanding, they have a good knowledge of what they want. And they want to have the personal stylist do certain things or help them harder. So in that case, we also have a process for it where maybe we'll share more pictures with her. Exceptionally, we can't do it because otherwise it's not scalable. But we always try to find a positive solution to a negative situation. So yeah, I mean, in one case, we've been sharing mood boards to try and get down to exactly what style the customer wanted. And I think that goes back to education, because sometimes people say they want, for example, avant-garde. And avant-garde, from a technical styling point and from a what you see in magazine type point, can be very different.
Yeah.
And so that's where misunderstanding can be created. And in that case, we just try and on WhatsApp, we say, hey, so sorry we didn't get it right. Did you mean this with avant-garde or did you mean that? And, always we find a solution to the problem.
So it goes back to also your tip earlier to always put on a problem-solving mind as an entrepreneur, right?
That's right.
All right. The next question is, someone asked, hi Gwen, do you guys also collaborate with local designers?
We want to, we haven't got to it, but we want to. Because already when we look at our data, I can see that there's like market gaps that are not filled. Because when we try to look for clothes for a certain type of customers, for example, petite, it's hard to find and petite can mean short or tall, but basically petite frame, right? And so tall and petite, or if you're short and petite, you can't solve the problem the same way, right? Because they will have different problems. For example, for trousers, one of them will have problem finding a trousers that sort of fits her. It's not too big at the waist, but if she's tall, it's not too short, and if she's short, it's not too long.
Right.
So it's a huge issue for many women, and I can see that as we scale, we will probably want to solve that problem ourselves if we can't find a brand on the market that solves it for those customers. So local fashion designers would be the first to be approached, obviously, to solve.
Right. Thank you for answering that. The last question we have from the audience is are there any internship opportunities for students or job opportunities for fresh graduates at Ellegra? Is there anywhere for me to get involved if I'm a student or fresh graduate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I need probably one more intern on the marketing side, possibly someone who can help me with growth, someone who's interested about how companies like Airbnb grew. What are they call it growth hacking. Anyone who's really tuned into everything digital and know how to reach the customers, I'm interested in that. Job opportunities wise, yeah, we are looking for retail assistant right now. So that would be to help the operation team get the boxes ready, folding, etc. So reach out to info@ellegra.com.my or just reach out to me directly or our Instagram and we'll get back.
All right. Thank you so much for answering all the Q&A session that we have today. And I hope the audience that Gwen actually answered all your burning questions. Thank you, Gwen, again for your insight. And that was Gwen, everyone from Ellegra, sharing about her experience at Tauke Talks, brought to you by RYSE and supported by Citi Foundation. So if you're interested to find out more about Ellegra, need a solution for your fashion headache, go over to visit them via Facebook, Instagram, or even their website. And if you're looking for an internship or a job opportunity, you can also go and send them an email via info@ellegra. All right. So I think I learned a lot. I personally learned a lot from this whole entire session. And it was a very inspiring session where you talk about passion, and it really translated in how you share about Ellegra. And your passion is really remarkable. Like you feel emotional just talking about what impact you have done for women in Malaysia. And I feel like that's something all of us should integrate in our life, to have passion about something. It might not be business, but always have passion in your life to strive further in your journey in terms of your business, in your business or personal life. So if you have enjoyed this session and would like to know more about business or entrepreneurship, or you just want to hear a motivational story from another Tauke, we have an upcoming Tauke that is also in the fashion industry, but focusing more on hats. So Fatin is the founder of Tapitin, and she's actually creating merging traditional fashion, which is like batik, and the trendy fashion of bucket hats. So if you're interested to find out more about Fatin's session or you would like to sign up, you can always sign up via our bit.ly at Tauke Talks. And if you're interested to know more about business or you would like to start your own business and need a crash course on entrepreneurship, you can always sign up for our ongoing flagship program called RYSE Online 2021, which is a free online course on the basics of entrepreneurship. It's currently open up till July. So if you're a Malaysian and you're interested in learning more about it, please do sign up for this um, online course. And if at the end of the online course, if you complete it, you can stand a chance to win up to 10,000 ringgit worth of seed funding if you're a Malaysian between the age of 18 to 28 years old. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us in this Talkie Talk session. If you'd like to find out more about what RYSE program do and what Talkie Talks actually stand for, you can always find out more via our social media and also our YouTube channel to watch other recorded session of Talkie Talks. So thank you so much, Gwen, for being a part of Lucky Talks today. And thank you everyone as well for spending your Friday morning with us as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great weekend ahead.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Thank you, Gwen. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.